Have you ever wondered why some people reach 90, even 98, still able to eat comfortably, sleep peacefully, and wake up without their stomach turning against them? I am 98 years old now, and I speak to you as someone who has lived inside this body for nearly a century. I have carried it through wars, shortages, celebrations, grief, and long, quiet mornings. I have learned sometimes the hard way that the digestive system remembers everything we give it. It remembers kindness, and it remembers abuse. One of the clearest lessons I learned early, and one I never broke, is this: avoid saturated fats. Not reduce them, not enjoy them once in a while. Avoid them because your digestion pays the price long before the rest of your body does. When I was younger, I watched people my age struggle with heavy stomachs, slow digestion, constant discomfort after meals. They blamed age. I didn't. I paid attention to what sat on their plates: thick meats, fried foods soaked in animal fat, butter-heavy dishes that left them bloated, sluggish, and restless at night. Saturated fats are solid fats, mostly from animal sources and heavily processed foods. They are dense, heavy, and difficult for the digestive system to handle day after day. When you eat them, your body must release large amounts of bile just to break them down. That strain doesn't disappear, it accumulates. I learned that digestion is not just about eating, it is about how gently food moves through you. Saturated fats slow that movement. They thicken the workload of the gut. They disturb the delicate balance inside the intestines that keeps digestion calm and regular. I am not sharing a cure, I am sharing a prevention. I avoided saturated fats to protect my digestive system, and that protection carried me quietly, steadily into old age. By the time I reached my 30s, I had already learned something most people don't notice until much later. Your digestive system speaks first, long before illness ever gets a name. It whispers through heaviness, bloating, slow mornings, uneasy nights. And if you ignore it, those whispers grow louder. I learned to listen. Avoiding saturated fats was not a fashionable idea when I was young. Meals were built around them: fatty cuts of meat, thick gravies, butter melted into everything. People believed heavy food meant strength. What they didn't see was the quiet burden it placed on digestion. Saturated fats are hard, dense fats. They are solid at room temperature, and they behave the same way inside the body. When they enter the digestive system, they demand more effort to be broken down. The gallbladder must release more bile. The intestines must work longer and harder to move them along. This is not theory to me. It is something I felt in my own body when I experimented and paid attention. When digestion slows, food lingers. When food lingers, fermentation increases. Gas builds, pressure rises. The gut becomes irritated, not violently at first, but persistently. This irritation doesn't always announce itself as pain. Often it shows up as fatigue after eating, a dull heaviness, a sense that the body is busy fighting a meal instead of being nourished by it. I watched this happen to friends who ate richly every day. They complained of constipation one week, loose digestion the next. They felt full too quickly or not satisfied at all. Their digestive rhythm disappeared. They blamed stress, age, or bad luck. I noticed their plates. Saturated fats slow gut motility. That means food moves more slowly through the digestive tract. When movement slows, the intestines become a place of stagnation rather than flow. Digestion is meant to be gentle and continuous. Saturated fats interrupt that rhythm. I avoided them deliberately. I chose lighter fats, plant-based oils, foods that stayed liquid rather than hard. I noticed how quickly my digestion responded. Meals passed through me without drama. I didn't feel weighed down. I didn't dread eating. There is another truth few people talk about. The gut is a living environment. Inside it live trillions of bacteria that help digestion function smoothly. These organisms thrive on balance. Heavy saturated fats disrupt that balance. They encourage the wrong kinds of microbial activity, more inflammation, more irritation, more waste products that the gut lining must defend against. When that lining is constantly defending itself, digestion becomes reactive. Sensitivity increases. Foods that once felt fine begin to cause discomfort. This is not sudden, it is cumulative. I protected my digestive system by reducing its workload. Avoiding saturated fats meant fewer bile surges, less intestinal strain, and a calmer internal environment. Over decades, that calm mattered. People often ask me why I never struggled with chronic digestive discomfort. They expect a miracle answer. There isn't one. There is consistency. Every day, every meal, I chose not to burden my gut with fats it had to fight against. This avoidance was not about fear. It was about respect. I respected my digestion as the foundation of my energy, my clarity, my sleep, my mood. When digestion is strained, everything else follows. I also noticed how saturated fats affected recovery after meals. When others needed to sit down, loosen clothing, or wait for discomfort to pass, I could walk, think, and rest easily. That difference compounds over time. A body that digests easily conserves energy. A body that struggles wastes it. I am careful with words here. I am not saying saturated fats cause disease. I am saying they increase digestive strain. Strain repeated over years weakens systems that were designed for flow, not overload. Protecting digestion means removing what stresses it most. Saturated fats were at the top of that list for me. As I aged, this choice became even more important. Digestion naturally slows with time. The organs become less forgiving. What a younger body tolerates, an older body resents. Because I had avoided saturated fats for decades, my digestion aged gently instead of abruptly. I could still eat without fear. I could still trust my body to process food calmly. That trust is a gift you earn long before you think you need it. People sometimes misunderstand avoidance as restriction. For me, it was freedom. Freedom from discomfort. Freedom from unpredictability. Freedom from meals that controlled my day instead of nourishing it. When you protect your digestive system, you protect your independence. You protect your sleep. You protect your ability to enjoy food without consequences. That is what avoiding saturated fats gave me, not perfection, but stability. I am 98 now, and my digestion has carried me faithfully because I carried it faithfully first. I avoided saturated fats not as a trend, not as a rule imposed by others, but as a quiet agreement with my body. I will not give you what makes your work harder. That agreement has lasted a lifetime. As the years passed, my understanding became more practical, less theoretical. Avoiding saturated fats stopped being an idea and became a daily habit shaped by observation. I didn't need charts or arguments. My body gave me feedback every time I ignored the rule, and gratitude every time I respected it. Saturated fats are most often found in foods that feel heavy before you even swallow them. Fatty cuts of red meat, sausages, bacon, lard, butter, cream, cheese made from full-fat milk, pastries made with shortening, fried foods cooked in animal fat. These were the foods I learned to avoid, not occasionally, avoid entirely, because repetition is what burdens digestion. When these foods enter the digestive system, they do not glide through. They linger. They require large amounts of bile to emulsify them. That bile, when released in excess, can irritate the intestines and alter how smoothly the gut contracts. Over time, this contributes to irregular bowel movements, bloating, and a constant sense that digestion is unpredictable. I noticed something else. Saturated fats dull the gut sensitivity. After heavy meals, people often feel sleepy or foggy. That is not comfort. It is the body diverting energy toward digestion under strain. When digestion is overloaded, circulation shifts away from the brain and muscles to manage the burden. This is not nourishment, it is damage control. By avoiding saturated fats, I allowed digestion to remain light and responsive. Meals didn't hijack my energy. My stomach stayed quiet. My intestines stayed regular. That regularity is not trivial. It is a sign of harmony. The gut also has a lining that acts as a barrier. When irritated repeatedly by heavy, difficult to digest fats, that lining becomes inflamed. Inflammation is not dramatic at first. It shows up as sensitivity, intolerance, discomfort after foods that once felt harmless. Avoiding saturated fats reduced this irritation. My digestive system stayed resilient instead of reactive. People sometimes confuse this with heart advice or cholesterol warnings. That is not what guided me. I was focused on digestion, on how food moved, how my stomach felt, how my body responded hour by hour. Avoiding saturated fats was about keeping digestion smooth, not about numbers on a report. I chose foods that stayed gentle in the gut, vegetables cooked simply, grains that didn't cling heavily, fats that remained liquid, used sparingly, and didn't demand excessive bile. These choices kept my microbiome, though I didn't know that word at the time, stable. A stable gut environment means less gas, less irritation, less internal conflict. Over decades, this stability protected me from the slow creep of digestive decline. Many people accept digestive discomfort as normal aging. I didn't. I saw it as accumulated strain finally being felt. Avoidance also meant learning social discipline. I declined rich foods politely. I didn't justify myself. I didn't compensate later. One heavy meal may seem harmless, but digestion doesn't forget patterns. Protection comes from consistency. I want to be precise here. Avoiding saturated fats does not mean eating joyless meals. It means choosing foods that cooperate with digestion instead of challenging it. Pleasure that leads to discomfort is not pleasure, it is delay. As I aged into my 70s, 80s, and now my late 90s, digestion became my anchor. When digestion works, sleep improves. When sleep improves, the body repairs. When repair continues, independence remains. I am not claiming immunity. I am describing risk reduction. By avoiding saturated fats, I reduce the daily strain placed on my digestive system. That reduction compounded quietly, year after year. If there is one thing age has taught me, it is this. The gut is patient, but it keeps score. It will tolerate abuse for years before it protests. When it does, people are shocked. I was never shocked because I never pushed it that far. Avoiding saturated fats was not about restriction. It was about preservation. Preservation of rhythm, comfort, and trust in my body's ability to digest without struggle. That is why at 98, I can still eat without fear and live without digestive drama. Protection, practiced early, becomes freedom later. So if you ask me what carried me to 98 with a calm stomach and a steady body, my answer is not dramatic. It is simple and it is honest. I avoided saturated fats to protect my digestive system long before discomfort forced the lesson on me. Digestion is the gatekeeper of daily life. When it is strained, everything feels heavier. When it is protected, the body moves with ease. I did not wait for pain to teach me. I listened to the early signals, slowness, heaviness, unease, and I removed what caused them. Avoiding saturated fats reduced the burden on my gut. It lowered the demand for excess bile. It kept intestinal movement steady instead of sluggish. It allowed the internal environment to remain calm rather than inflamed. These are small advantages on one day. Over decades, they become decisive. I never believed in cures. I believed in prevention. Protection is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It simply allows life to continue without interruption. That is what this choice gave me. Regular digestion, predictable energy, and freedom from the constant negotiation many people have with their stomachs. I am not telling you that avoiding saturated fats guarantees comfort forever. I am telling you that it lowers risk, reduces strain, and gives your digestive system a chance to age gently instead of abruptly. Your body works for you every day. The least you can do is stop giving it what makes its work harder. If my years have taught me anything, it is this. What you avoid can be just as powerful as what you add. Protect digestion early, and it will protect you quietly for the rest of your life.